the exact moment. I mean, you've probably lived it.
Oh, absolutely.
Right. Imagine coming home after a 12-hour shift of, well, building, fixing, or just defending the systems that literally keep society running.
Yeah, you're just physically exhausted,
Yeah.
mentally completely drained.
Exactly. You walk through the front door, and the greeting you get isn't gratitude. It's a catalog of your inadequacies.
Right, a list of everything you didn't do.
Yeah. You paid the mortgage, you fixed the disposal under the sink, you coached the local team, but somehow, according to the culture around you, you are the problem.
Not because you failed, though.
No, because your success is entirely invisible right up until the exact second it stops. And the author we're exploring today uses this really haunting metaphor. He says the bridge holds no applause.
Oh, that's such a good line.
It is, right. But the moment it buckles, everyone knows exactly who to blame. You've been carrying the weight for so long that the people walking across the bridge, they don't even notice there's a structure underneath them anymore.
Yeah, they just walk. It's the absolute definition of an invisible load-bearing structure.
Exactly. And that tension, that exact feeling of carrying a weight while being critiqued by the people just leisurely strolling over it, that's the beating heart of today's deep dive.
It really sets the stage for the whole book.
It does. We are doing an extensive, really forensic review of an incredibly provocative new ebook. It's called Regimental Colors, Symbolic Memory of Sacrifice and Duty by Conrad Riker.
And it is a dense, fascinating text.
So dense. Now, right off the bat, I'm going to tell you, you are going to want to check out Amazon Kindle or Google Play Books to grab this title. Because my entire goal today is to make you want to read the full text yourself.
You really need to read it to get the full impact.
For sure. And hey, make sure you like and subscribe to this show so we can keep bringing you these deep dives. So, our mission today is to explore Riker's dissection of how classical institutions and historical symbols of male sacrifice were dismantled.
Yeah, he calls it the inversion engine.
Right, this inversion engine of modern feminism, therapeutic bureaucracy, and Marxist resentment.
Yeah.
If you follow men's advocacy or the manosphere, or if you're just interested in preserving male spaces, this is tailored for you.
We need to set a baseline here, right?
Yeah.
Because this is highly politically charged content.
Oh, massively. We're talking about modern gender dynamics, dismantling feminist frameworks. It's a minefield of modern taboos. So let me just level with you, the listener, right now.
Yeah, full disclaimer.
Exactly. Our goal today is not to tell you if Riker is right or wrong. We are not taking a political side, we aren't endorsing his worldview, and we certainly aren't here to condemn it either.
Right. Our job is strictly to report on the ideas.
Impartially. We're just holding his thesis up to the light, decoding it, and presenting his worldview exactly as it is in the source material. You evaluate it for yourself.
We're just the guides. And to guide you into this, we have to start with the foundational metaphor. The title, Regimental Colors, isn't just some abstract culture war metaphor.
No, it's very literal.
Exactly. He begins with the historical, physical regimental colors, the battle flags of the British military. He uses them to understand the collapse of modern male identity.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because when I hear regimental colors, I just picture, a nice decorative flag at a parade.
Which is the exact misconception he attacks in the first chapter, The Loom of Duty. You have to understand the visceral reality of industrialized slaughter to get this.
Right, he takes us to the Battle of Albuera in 1811.
Yeah, and the 42nd Highlanders at Waterloo.
Yeah.
You have to visualize the battlefield. It's not a painting. The air is so incredibly thick with black powder smoke.
You literally can't see the end of your own musket.
Right. You're blinding, choking. You're surrounded by the screams of butchered horses. The artillery is deafening.
But in that chaos, a flag isn't decoration.
It's a literal technology of survival. It was a piece of heavy silk on an ash pole. In that terror, every single man knew where to stand, strictly because they could see that flag hovering above the smoke.
He calls it a loom of duty, which is just brilliant phrasing.
It's precise. A loom where mortal fear is woven into collective continuity. If the colors fell, the regiment functionally ceased to exist.
Functionally, not symbolically.
Right. The defensive line would shatter, the men would scatter, and it's just a slaughter pen.
Okay, so without it, you're a panicked mob. But he introduces this concept, the grammar of cloth. He breaks it down into 4 strict axes, right? Form, function, field, and force.
Yes. And if you remove one, the symbol just becomes a meaningless rag.
Let's trace this. Start with form. How does the physical material matter?
Form is the strict physical regulation. Riker cites the Queen's Regulations of 1844. A color had to measure exactly 3 feet 6 inches by 3 feet 9 inches.
Wow, that's specific.
Very. And it had to be high-grade silk. The gold fringe was mandatory.
Why silk, though? Just to show off.
No, silk held weight and caught the light. When sunlight hit silk through dense smoke, it demanded visual recognition in a way cotton just wouldn't.
That makes sense.
Right, it wasn't a canvas for expression. It was ordered matter. You don't fight and die for a cheaply made lie.
Okay, so that's form. What about function?
Function is the tactical purpose. It concentrated the unit's command into a single moving target. Tactical logistics.
It told a private where his officers were.
Exactly. He notes the 42nd Highlanders at Waterloo. Ensign James Hay died carrying the color. A lieutenant immediately grabbed it, got shot. A sergeant dug it out of the mud.
Because if it stays in the mud, the regiment died.
Exactly. Now, field defines the context. It operated across 3 arenas. In combat, it was a distant marker, identifiable at 800 yards.
Because a terrified guy can't read text, he just sees shapes.
Right. The second arena was the civic sphere, parades. Civilians saw it and understood the cost of their safety.
And the third was domestic, like the officers' mess hall.
Framed in glass, a silent witness to their oaths.
Which brings us to the fourth axis. Force.
Yes, force is the psychological element. It exerted an evocative power. It called men out of their private anxieties into public duty.
It's a hardwired compulsion to protect the symbol. Let me throw an analogy at this. It reminds me of a mnemonic hard drive.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, like Riker talks about the battle honors stitched on a sphinx for Egypt, a tiger for India. So a 19-year-old soldier looks at his color and reads his unit's entire history of sacrifice.
Exactly. It's a compressed doctrine. The farm boy sees the sphinx, asks what it means, and learns the history not as data, but as his new identity.
Okay, so that's the historical baseline. But pivoting to today, what is the color that anchors civilian men now? And why does Riker say it's being erased?
To answer that, we look at the male cost ledger, or the blood ledger.
The invisible ledger.
Right. It's the ledger of time, physical risk, and restraint that sustains the household and the state. And he uses stark data here from the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics.
Yeah, this part was heavy. Men account for over 90% of fatal work injuries.
Consistently.
Yeah.
Roofers, loggers, iron workers, they're crushed, electrocuted, falling to their deaths. But it's just recorded as routine statistics.
He talks about the sewer worker in a methane tunnel at 3:00 a.m. just so the city's plumbing works when we wake up. The night watchman.
Every single stitch of civilized life is paid for by this sweat and silent endurance.
But how does society justify this disposability?
Historically, by embedding it in collective honor.
How does honor mitigate disposability, though?
Well, the soldier who dies is disposable to the generals, but to the culture, he's immortalized. His name is recorded, his widow is respected. Honor means his sacrifice was witnessed and valued.
But Riker says the modern world broke that contract.
Completely. The modern welfare state hides the ledger. Society removes the honor, extracts the utility. They want the infrastructure, but despise the builders.
And when you remove honor, disposability just feels like a wound.
Right. It produces a profound rage. Men just start quiet quitting a system that takes their bodies without thanking them.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting to me. I need to push back, or at least ask for the mechanics here. How did society convince itself that dying on a roofing job is a privilege?
That is the inversion engine. It's the primary villain of the book.
Right, the capture of institutions.
Yes, by feminist and Marxist frameworks. And the goal isn't equity. It's redirecting energy from producing competence to performing contrition. Riker calls it semantic decay.
Weaponizing the vocabulary of duty. Let's look at the word justice.
Yeah, the Latin iusdetia. Originally it meant giving each man his exact due based on his actions, a virtue of proportional reward.
But the inversion engine decays it into social justice.
Exactly. It hollows it out into a bludgeon for redistribution and grievance. Any unequal outcome is proof of systemic oppression.
And strength, from the Latin virtus.
Virtus meant characteristic excellence, courage, reliability, steadfastness. But modernity reduces it to just muscle.
Fear aggression.
Right, making male strength inherently suspect.
Okay, so back to the privileged syllogism. How does he break that down?
It's undeniable physics. Infrastructure bears the weight of civilization. Weight demands physical strength and risk tolerance. Those are coded male.
So civilization rests on male infrastructure.
But the inversion engine has to obscure that cost to maintain the narrative of female oppression. Claiming that 93% of workplace fatalities is a privilege is moral accounting fraud.
Wow.
It allows the people benefiting from the burden to view the men bearing it as oppressors.
That brings up the Kafka trap of toxic masculinity.
Yes, a Kafka trap is where your denial of a crime proves your guilt.
Like, I'm not defensive, only a defensive person says that.
Exactly. Toxic masculinity conflates the traits that built the West's stoicism, risk-taking with domestic abuse, and condemns it all.
So how does the trap spring?
In HR, if a man sits quietly, he's diagnosed with toxic emotional repression. If he gets angry and defends his honor, that's proof of toxic volatility.
Damned if you do, damned if you don't.
The game is rigged.
And he points out corporate HR, Title IX offices, diversity trainers, they manufacture oppression to expand their own bureaucracy.
Bureaucracies only grow when there's a problem to solve.
Right, so that's the corporate sphere. Let's pivot to the domestic sphere, the home. He explores the Roman paterfamilias.
Which requires a historical reevaluation. Modern Hollywood paints the paterfamilias as a petty tyrant.
Just abusing his family for fun.
Right. But Riker says that's a half-truth. The paterfamilias had immense power, but it was bound by pietas.
Duty to ancestors and descendants.
Exactly. It was a sacred office. His authority was earned through the heavy burden of provision and protection.
So authority without sacrifice is tyranny, but sacrifice without authority is a waste.
Precisely. And modern institutions demand the sacrifice but strip the authority.
Especially the family courts. I know a lot of guys listening will relate to this.
Riker cites the UK, where family courts default to maternal preference in 78% of cases.
78%. That's a systemic default.
And they use best interests of the child as a legal guillotine to sever fathers from the home, reducing them to an ATM.
And then he talks about the welfare state as a false father.
Yes, the state replaces the biological father's provision with a taxpayer check. It maintains material flow, but dissolves reciprocity.
So what does this all mean? It's like firing the chief engineer of a bridge, replacing him with a committee that just issues funding, and then acting shocked when the bridge collapses on the kids it was supposed to protect.
That is the perfect analogy. The father is the load-bearing wall. The state demands he keep paying, but removes his power to govern his household.
So where do men go? If the home is stripped and corporate is a trap, where's the sanctuary? This leads to the war on silence and male-only spaces.
Right. Riker defends the vital necessity of male-only spaces. He looks at medieval guilds and Freemasons.
The magnum opus versus the modern college diploma. This blew my mind.
It's about real competence versus credentialism. An apprentice earned his rank through grueling submission to a standard.
By building a physical magnum opus, a masterpiece.
A flawlessly forged blade, a perfect stone arch, something older men could rigorously assess.
You can't fake it. Whereas a college diploma is basically a receipt showing you sat in a chair and didn't offend anyone.
Exactly. The Masons acted as a distributed university of virtue. They bound men across class lines through shared ordeal. Washington, Mozart.
But the feminist objection is that these spaces are sexist and exclusionary. How does Riker steelman that?
He argues it's a category error. They confuse exclusion for domination with exclusion for formation.
Okay, what's the difference?
Exclusion for domination is a boardroom locking women out to restrict their power. Malicious.
Right.
Exclusion for formation is like a women's domestic violence shelter. It excludes men so women can heal safely.
So male spaces need that same grace.
Exactly. A men's shed or fraternal lodge lets exhausted men rebuild competence and accountability without the conversational policing mixed gender company requires.
Because men bond differently when women aren't there. So why did these spaces disappear? Were guys just lazy?
No, they were colonized. The state and corporations saw independent men as unmanageable. So the smoky guild hall became the fluorescent cubicle farm.
And the rite of passage became the HR sensitivity module.
Right. And therapeutic culture pathologized male silence.
Demanding they just talk about their feelings.
But Riker notes, male silence isn't always repressed trauma. It's often just the sound of competence and progress. A man building an engine is silent.
Wow. Yeah. So this brings us to his solutions. The liturgy of loss.
Memory as the discipline of gratitude applied to the dead. A culture that forgets its dead will have living men who refuse to fight for it.
He uses the Kohima epitaph. For your tomorrow, we gave our today.
The dead purchase the future with their blood. The living owe them memory.
And he talks about restoring the physical regimental colors. They don't bleach the stains or fix the bullet holes.
No, conservators leave the frayed edges and the bloodstains intact. It shows the unvarnished truth of endurance.
But the inversion engine pushes the exact opposite. Look at the 2020 statue toppling.
Right, Cecil Rhodes at Oxford. Riker says it's collective guilt by association, spitting on the graves of men who absorbed catastrophic risk so modern activists can have Wi-Fi to complain about them.
It's just endless grievance. So practically, for the guy listening driving his F-150 right now, how does he implement this liturgy of loss?
A personal household liturgy.
Yeah.
The state won't do it. You have to learn the names of your ancestors who sacrificed, visit their graves, speak their names at the dinner table,
And teach your sons to use tools.
impose order on physical matter, fix a pipe, build a fire, understand the bloody cost of civilization so you don't take it for granted.
It's epistemic maintenance. If you don't do it, society unravels into narcissism.
Exactly.
Man, this has been an intense exploration. As we wrap up, I want to leave you, the listener, with a chilling synthesis from the book. Think about modern roles. Consumers react, activists demand, bureaucrats manage decline.
But only men bound to a standard build.
Exactly. The engineer, the father waking up at 4 a.m., the craftsman. They are the modern color bearers.
If society keeps burning their standards and calling their provision a privilege, it will be left with rubble.
Will society realize this before the infrastructure collapses? Or will it have to be rebuilt brick by bloody brick by the few men who remember how to use their hands?
It's a profoundly unsettling question.
It really is. Gentlemen, if you want to read this forensic breakdown for yourself, check out Regimental Colors. Symbolic Memory of Sacrifice and Duty by Conrad Weicker. Go to Amazon Kindle or Google Play Books and buy it right now.
And follow the author for more at Conrad Reicher on Substack.
Thank you for joining this deep dive. Like and subscribe, share it with a man who needs to hear it. Keep the standard flying. We'll see you next time.